I was born on a farm in Dwygyfylchi called Tyddyn Du, Black Cottage, and they used to say, why is it called Black Cottage when it's whitewashed? Well, it's right under the rock of Trwyn y Wylfa, so all winter it's in the shade, so hence Tyddyn Du. And it goes back to something like 1600, but it was classed as a small holding, 20 acres. So only ever had maybe 6 milking cows to 8, and then sheep, pigs, but it was a proper mixed farm. And I grew up in that idyllic situation. The earliest recollection I have of the farm is really feeding the lambs that had lost their mothers and having fun with the haymaking and all that went on. And as time went on, I was maybe 8 or 9 and wanted to learn how to milk a cow. And that was sort of introduced to us about when we were 9. And then we were stuck with that for the rest of my time, milking 2 cows before going to school and straight home for the 4:30 milking. Tyddyn Du became our playground. We didn't really leave it. The farm was too small for me to stay and work with my father. And the theme was, go and get a trade, and then you can come back to the farm once you've got your trade and all. But by the time I finished my apprenticeship in 1966, the farming had practically disappeared. It was just sheep. So what was sustaining the farm was the camping. Camping had become really popular. So that really was the big earner for my mum and dad. And handy, the sheep would be up on the mountains in the summer out of the way, and vice versa. The campers gone in the winter and the sheep would be back down. That worked all right. I didn't like the sheep side of farming as much as the other parts of it, because it was all or nothing with sheep. They were either grazing in the fields or you're actually handling every one of them. And it was probably about 200 sheep. It wasn't a lot, but it was a lot when you were handling them, doing everything by hand, shearing and anything like that. Because we had the railway at the bottom of the fields, train spotting, steam train spotting became the thing, because we were either contained on the farm as a playground or down the bottom of the field to see the trains. And that changed me when I became historically minded at a very young age. It was because of the end of steam. I finished train spotting in 1962. Now I'd been a year in apprenticeship, and then you're becoming the later teenager. Cars, going out to dances or whatever, drinking. And the train spotting seemed old hat, didn't it? So that disappeared at the wrong time, really, because if I'd have carried on, I'd have realised the steam was going to decline and disappear very rapidly. I'd gone back to Nottingham to visit mother-in-law, as often we did, long weekends, that was our holidays. And I just happened to pass in this bookshop in 1968, September, and there was a magazine saying, last day photograph, Steam Swan Song, and I couldn't believe that was it. Steam had finished. In less than a decade, what a massive change there'd been.